or where you bought it. I mean, and that's very common. And by the way, if you weren't all smart digital natives, that number would be
way
bigger.
Down.
Yeah, far few of you would know.
Yeah.
It's a grudge purchase, and people don't like the process, and mattress stores are kind of creepy, and most of them are just trying to separate you from your money, and they build a very opaque process where you don't even know what you're buying. And Casper at our core was built not only on convenience, but on it's got to be a great product. And we are investing a lot of research into literally throughout the bed, how it's structured to make sure your spinal alignment is such that you're going to have the least probability of waking up in pain, which is the #1 complaint of people. Like half of all people wake up with back pain, and it's the mattress. I mean, can you think of a category that is so catastrophically failed that 50% of people don't actually get the benefit of the product, yet somehow this perpetuates the detriment. Pick your half. And it's crazy, and we were putting a lot into that. So our center, we have this concept of cozy performance, that we have these amazingly appealing, comfortable, attractive, desirable beds that you just want to engage with, and they feel terrific. But we also have this incredible amount of research and science that we put into the product on temperature management and not getting hot in the middle of the night, and spinal alignment and pressure points and all these things. And we're going to be telling that story a lot, and it's hard. And this is where partnership, just get that message relentlessly put out there. So we're finding our voice. We're finding a way to really differentiate, and I think we're going to do a great job. But again, it takes a village, and which is not just agency. I got to call out Tori in the audience, who thankfully recently joined us. Tori is one of the best performance marketers I've ever met. None of you can hire her, but you all should meet her. And
part of the NDA for the event. There's a non-recruit as well.
It's getting the right partners, it's getting the right team, and we're going to take this message and go the distance.
Awesome. So I'm going to close this out, and then we'll do a little Q&A. I think just kind of in my closing remarks, because I mentioned earlier, we want to make these sessions as actionable as possible. The thing that I would challenge everybody with, especially the people who are not clients of ours and not gone through this process already, is really try to nail down this goal and constraint framework, right? Again, you can have more than one goal, but they must be mutually exclusive, meaning you can't say one goal is to maximize traffic and the other goal is to maximize new customers unless you make those two goals mutually exclusive. One example of how you can do that is by giving them each their own dedicated budget, right? That would be one way of saying, okay, we have $100,000 to do awareness, and we have $300,000 to do performance, right? And the performance goal might be maximizing revenue or maximizing profit or LTV or new customers. Your awareness one might be about reach or engagement or something like that. But what are those goals, and what are the constraints that hold you back from maximizing them to infinity? And then how is that being measured, right? And if that is clear and aligned with everybody up and down in your organization and your partners' organizations, everything else happens so much easier, so much faster, and so much more efficiently. And you can really rely and trust that the decisions that are being made are in the best interest of your business. If you can't articulate that for your own business, right, then think about how hard it will be for someone on your team a couple layers beneath you, or on a partner's team that doesn't even work at your company, to then act in the best interest of your company when you can't even articulate what that even means, right? So really, really important stuff, something that is actually incredibly uncommon, even though it's very, very basic, that really just unlocks so much more marketing potential. With that said, we'll open it up for Q&A. So if anybody has questions for myself or the other fantastic Joe up on stage, feel free to
direct your question toward a Joe.
And we have a microphone for anybody who would like to break the ice here for us today. Don't be shy. We don't bite. All right, Josh, what do you got?
Just curious. So the mattress was the primary reason for being for Casper, and I just would be curious to understand how have you guys diversified your products, and how has loyalty played into that? I'm sure people need a mattress, but then when you mentioned your socks, I'm assuming you guys are selling that. So oh no, okay.
Yeah.
Only Joe has them actually. It's a one of one.
But I'm just kind of curious of how have you taken people from the mattress to other things?
Well, people don't buy mattresses; they buy beds. And it's what you put the mattress on, which is both frames and foundations and furniture, and how you how you dress the bed. In fact, most of you probably haven't seen your mattress that often. Hopefully you change your sheets somewhat regularly. I won't ask that question. But other than pulling the bottom sheet off, you probably barely ever even see your mattress. It's about the bed. And so the biggest thing is just how do we sell the whole bed? How do we have, I mean, if we're doing our job right, if you buy a mattress, of course you're going to buy our sheets. Why wouldn't you? They're phenomenal sheets. They're priced right. They're cut exactly for a mattress. You're not going to find anything better out there. And that's the industry, and that's where we start. It's just making sure we really own the bed, and we have opportunity to do that better. The best companies. I mean, we're less than 5% market share. We're still a challenger brand. We may be the best known brand of the categories, but that's the best looking house on a rundown street. I mean, this isn't a category filled with beloved brands. It's like dishwasher brands or appliances. I mean, it's a functional category with functional brands, and we have the opportunity to have that connection, and with that capture larger sales, more sales. We do actually like pillows. We have an incredibly strong pillow business. For a while, we were the #1 selling pillow on Amazon. We still sell pillows in Target and other department stores, which is a great way to engage with the brand. And we have a lot of customers who have never bought our mattress but continue to buy our pillows, and we're okay with that. We'd love to sell them a mattress at some point, but we're okay with that. But everything we've done, it's super high quality product. We sweat the details. I mean, I would put us up against like a Lululemon in terms of our focus. I mean, our zipper pulls are custom made with this great, one side has a little open eye and the other side a little closed eye, and it's just these little iconography and the stitching and the curvature of the edges. We sweat the details in a way that a brand that cares about their product does. And it's not just from an industrial design point of view. There's, again, a lot of work we put into the performance of these products. And I think over time, our customers know. Our CSAT is the best I've ever seen. Our brand love is one of the best I've ever seen. It's just educating the rest of the world on what our customers already know on how there is a better product. And you do that. It's not about competing against a Sealy or a Serta. It's competing against ourselves, just being the best version of ourselves and telling that story.
Awesome. Well, let's everybody give Joe a round of applause for being here with us today. Thank you, Joe. And without further ado, we're going to have Nadia come on stage. Nadia is one of Google's AI business strategists, and she's going to inspire all of us about how you can really leverage Google's AI applications to help scale your business. So with that said, I didn't realize you were behind me, but Nadia, thank you very much.
I have a Casper. So.
And she has a Casper. I don't know if you heard that. I heard a big news.
Good morning, everyone. I did enjoy the presentation so much because when I moved to the US 4 years ago, the first thing I did is that I bought a Casper mattress. And to this day, I'm obsessed with my sleep. And so I have to say I'm having a very good experience, 8 hours plus. So I'm proud of that result. I'm very excited to be here with you today to talk about AI. My purpose is to inspire you all with examples and stories that you can bring home with you to eventually start playing with it and grow your capabilities so that you can be at the next edge of transformation. So I'm going to start with a little story because AI is only one of the most amazing shifts we ever had. Mobile was another one, and then the internet. By looking at the audience today, we've all experienced those three shifts. And the story I'm going to say is the story of a little girl that grew up in an island in the Mediterranean Sea that in 1996 came home from school and got her first Commodore 64. How many people in the room know what a Commodore 64 is? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I invite you to Google it right now. It's a ginormous computer, and that girl got that Commodore because she was studying computer programming. As she grew up in a very humble family, she didn't have any means to start thinking about college or traveling or anything like that. But eventually, with the Commodore 64, she got the internet. She started browsing, and one day she found a college that she was dreaming attending. Eventually, that college was quite expensive, and the only chance would have been to get some scholarships. And thanks to the internet, she was able to put together an application hiding that from her parents and granting a new education for her that eventually landed her a job at Google. So 20 or probably 30 years later, that girl is standing in front of you and is still very passionate about technology and how technology can transform people's lives in so many ways. And I can see how AI is already transforming lives, businesses, and society. So I hope you're very excited about it, because I certainly am. And typically I like to start my keynotes with a quote that is relatable to the business. So I turned to my best friend Gemini a few days ago, and I started brainstorming about your agency Within. So I went to the Within website, I started reading their values, I started learning what they do, and I really loved their taglines and everything. So I took those values and I wrote to Gemini and I said, I'm speaking in this amazing event, I want to inspire the audience, can you help me with a very meaningful quote? So Gemini gave me a few options, and the one that you see right now is my favorite one that I'm going to read out loud. The greatest view comes after the hardest climb. Level up and see the world with new eyes. So those in the room that are hikers, anyone loves hiking here? Okay, a nice group. I do love hiking, I have to say, even though not with this outfit, I'll say. You know that when you're hiking, it's really hard, especially if you haven't been doing your reps in the gym. But you also know that as you climb, you get the most amazing views. Now, let me tell you, I don't know you all, but AI feels a little messy right now. It feels incredibly hard. There's so many technologies, there's so many acronyms, there's so many names. Even when I prepare for my presentations, 2 weeks after, they're already obsolete. There's a new tool coming out. So it is complex. But I can assure you that if you commit yourself to learning all about these technologies, you will level up your competencies and you make yourself one of the most incredible talents in the industry. So I will say, are you ready to level up for this morning? Joe, you see what I did there? Okay, let's start with some very practical examples. I want you all to leave today with some things that you can practice and some things you can experiment with. When I started playing with those generative AI tools, I really needed a framework in my head to understand how do they work and to understand how can I interact. You know, being in corporate, 15 years at Google, I love my frameworks. And so I said, well, what can I do? And I found this amazing one online to explain what multimodal is. If you ever heard the word multimodal, at the very beginning, you're like, what does that even mean? It sounds scary. Well, multimodal is how you can interact with these generative AI platforms, Gemini, ChatGPTs, and all of the others, which basically means you can use a variety of inputs to talk to them. And the acronym WINS summarize it very well. You can interact with them with words, you can interact with them with images, you can interact with numbers, and you can interact with sounds. So let's go see it in action. So I'm Italian, as you can tell from my accent, even though I practice English on a daily basis. And so I love the Fiat Cinquecento. This was a car that I grew up with. I saw it everywhere. And so I turned into Gemini and I said, can you draw me a Fiat Cinquecento driving in daylight? This is a very simple prompt. I didn't share many more other details. And this is what Gemini gave me back. So pretty cool, right? I mean, it's a nice car, driving in a city. I do recognize it might be Milan, I don't know. But I really liked it. This is something I said, okay, I love it for my presentation, let's go with it. But then I said, you know what? I'm ready for summer. And I want to have an image that are a little bit more epic, that is romantic. I'm very romantic. I love romance. And I said, I'm going to go in the south of Italy. So what about driving in the Amalfi Coast, for those of you who've been? So I fed a way more detailed prompt into Gemini. And this is what I got back. So it was pretty cool. I mean, it gave me 4 options, and this is the one I picked, and included every detail that I gave in the prompt, including the fluffy clouds. So this is only one of the ways through images. There are many tools out there. I was talking to Quinn, my new friend, and he told me he's an expert in Midjourney, and he's going to show you a little bit more later on how it does things in Imagen and more. So do play with prompted images. But let's talk about how to use Gemini to recognize imagery, so the eye of winds. I'm not an amazing cook, I'll say that. I have other priorities in life. But I do like eating nice dishes. And, you know, my mom was an amazing cook. She was incredible. And I do like to take pictures of food. So I found, as I was preparing for this talk, I said, I want to find an image that I would want to give Gemini, and I want Gemini to help me recognize what dish is this, and to give me recipes. Now, when I look at it, I had a few options. This was a long time ago. This is a photo from 13 years ago. And I was like, it seems like a Parmigiana. I'm really not sure. Well, Gemini clearly was way more sure than I was. He recognized that it is a lasagna, and he gave me a very detailed recipe about it and how to prepare it. So I was like, okay, great. I mean, I like it. I can assume my mom did it in the same way. Probably she didn't put ricotta cheese, but everything else, she might have done it. But let's make it a little bit more complicated for Gemini, because I said, somehow you could tell that that was a lasagna. Come on, you know, it wasn't very different. But let's say that now I want to buy all those ingredients, because as I said, I'm not an amazing cook, so there's no chances I have all that stuff in my fridge. Where is the place where I can go that is the closest to where I live? So I said, Gemini, if you guessed this one. So I gave Gemini the picture of my building where I live in Tribeca. Please don't come and visit me just yet, or give me a heads up. And I said, there are many buildings like this in the city. Come on, it's, you know, I said, if you guessed this one, you're really a pro. Well, guess what? It gave me the name of the building, Tribeca Park, and then it started listing the 2 shops that I've closest to myself where I can go shopping. Now, you know what I'm going to go next. If I say, order this stuff automatically from Whole Foods and deliver it to my doorstep, it definitely would do that. So I really encourage you all to play with images. It's very, very powerful. And to be honest, I had a lot of fun doing it. But let's talk about numbers, the N of the winds. I'm very big in numerology. I don't know if there's any other numerologists in the rooms. I really love numbers and correlations and all of that. I even opened a side gig on a specific day because I said, why not? You know, it's August 8th, so 8/8. And I said to Gemini, can you tell me something more about this date, 8/8? I really wanted to test if Gemini would guess why I picked 8/8. He gave me a few options, and among those options, he guessed the one that was relevant for me, which was the Lionsgate portal, a day of infinite abundance and luck. So if you are looking to do things on 8/8, just ask Gemini why. But then secondly, I asked Gemini how these numbers relate to each other. So this is one of the simplest one, is the one that we've heard earlier about doing predictive analytics models and analysis. Gemini is really good at that. So I really encourage you all to play and experiment with it because it's mind-blowing. Let's talk about the S in sound. The forefront of technology for musicians and creative in the space of sounds is absolutely incredible. And so with our YouTube teams, we started partnering with some of the most amazing musicians, John Legend, Shia, and many more, to work with them on how to use AI to really scale and to really create more usage. Now, obviously, there's a lot of concerns in the music space about AI adoption, which is why we wrote our AI principle. But this case that I'm going to show you now with this tool called DreamTrack is absolutely fascinating, and it really makes faster to create reels with all your ideas by using the voice of incredible singers like John Legend and Shia. So let's play this little video for the audience.
got nothing in common, but I know that I'm what you've been wanting for so long now.
So you have the ability to use the voice of one of the singers to create your reel in just seconds by using a prompt. So I found it extremely fast, extremely amazing, and I can wait you all to experiment with it. But AI can do so much more. The cases that I just showed you are incredible, but what can AI do for consumers, for communities, and for companies to help them achieve their potentials and to amplify their skill set, really? So the 4 examples that I have for you today are how AI helps create better consumer experiences for all of your consumers and for you as well, as consumers yourself. How it can help solve societal challenges. We all saw what's happening in Brazil is really devastating. And so I want to show you a very good case on how AI can help with predicting flooding and things like that. How can AI help company grows? We've heard from Casper, the goal is to really grow those revenues and engage with new customers. And then last but not least, helping companies be more efficient. So are you still with me? You know, it's early morning, so I can understand that, you know, well, early, 10 a.m., but still. Okay, how can AI create better consumer experiences? I'm gonna show a nice video, one of the coolest features that we released on our Android phone. But I wanna ask you all how many Android phones we have in this room. Can you raise your hand if you have an Android phone? Oh, wow. I was not expecting this. So there's still a lot of iPhones. Wow, okay. Whew. I'm sorry, guys. You might have to run to the Google store after I shoot this video. Can we play the video? So I gotta tell you, I learned English that I was 27, and to this day, it takes me a while before I can label something that I see and defining the word. So for me, when I saw this feature, given that I like to take pictures of literally everything, it was really game-changing. That outfit that you like, circle to search. That plate that you see in a restaurant, you wanna see what it is? Circle to search. That restaurant that you see somewhere, circle to search, and so much more. Can you imagine the power of this new feature on the search experience of every consumer? So if you have an Android phone, you can try it right now by holding into the on button and see how the experience looks like. With this is also Scribble to search. When I saw this one, I said, this is incredible. Imagine traveling in a country, taking a picture of something, and then highlighting and translating in real time, or searching that address. Extremely powerful, really making the consumer experience way more fluid and way more fast. And then, of course, the search generative experiences that you're all seeing. Really the ability that when you search, you can see results, and making shorter the moment between when you have the desire and go to the website and provider. But how AI solves societal challenges is what excites me even more. Again, we saw what's happening in Brazil. It's terrible. Last year with the wildfires, you know, in New York, we couldn't even breathe. Hurricanes. All those things are happening, are devastating, and it's really a challenge for our climate. So I want to show you with the next video what Google has been doing in this space and the research that has been happening and how powerful it is to have government to adopt this technology to really predict when those climate challenges happening, to be able to help millions of people to evacuate and make better decisions. So let's look at the next video.
Each year, floods claim thousands of lives, disrupt millions, and cause significant financial damage worldwide. Google Research has developed AI-based flood forecasting models that can generate accurate river flooding forecasts up to 7 days in advance on a global scale, even in areas where data is scarce. This use of AI technology marks a significant advancement in predicting flood events globally. The hydrologic model is trained on publicly available geophysical and meteorological data, such as soil attributes, precipitation data from satellites, weather forecasts, and stream flow gauge measurements. The model uses two long short-term memory networks, LSTM for short, a machine learning architecture that uses time series inputs to generate predictions. The Hindcast LSTM runs over a year in the past, analyzing input data up to the issue time of a forecast, and hands off the current state to a forecast LSTM. The forecast LSTM analyzes data from a weather forecast over the next 7 days and predicts stream flow. The model is trained on global data, allowing it to learn general hydrologic behaviors and generate highly accurate AI-based forecasts, even in river basins that lack stream flow gauges. As shown in our Nature publication in March 2024, our AI model has higher precision than the current benchmark when predicting extreme events, enabling the generation of early warnings, which will help save lives and improve resilience worldwide. Google is committed to continuing to advance science and AI solutions for the climate crisis with our global partners. For more information, visit g.co/research/flood forecasting.
I would say this is some of the work that I'm the most proud of at Google, because when we think about climate change and sustainability and all that is happening, we really have the opportunity with AI to make a change. But now let's pivot into how AI can help companies grow, and in a fun way. So we're gonna look at a very nice branding case, but let me talk about the AI strategy first. As I've been doing all these engagements and AI business strategies for Google, a lot of times clients ask me, but what's my AI strategy? What should I be doing? What should I be looking at? And I always respond, say, well, it's not about what's your AI strategy. It's really about what's your strategy that AI can enable or enhance or multiply. So I always encourage people to think that what's happening right now is about amplification. It's about really powering all those functions in a company and make them perform a lot better. So the case that I'm going to share, which I loved when I was searching for one, is a case from Virgin Voyages. It's a cruise company, and after COVID, they really wanted to increase the number of consumers that they were booking cruises to have some fun. And Richard Branson is really fond of celebrating life and take the moment and just, have fun with your friends and your families. So they made a deal with Jennifer Lopez that became chief celebration officers. And thanks to augmented reality, they create Gen AI, which I'm going to show you in a minute what it is, to allow people to send a personalized invitation from Jennifer Lopez to invite them to go on a cruise. Now, as you can imagine, having Jennifer Lopez recording millions of videos would have been probably very expensive for Richard Branson. But this is where AI came into play and made it very fun. So here's the video.
Hi, it's me, Jennifer Lopez, Chief Celebration Officer of Virgin Voyages, here to invite you to celebrate. So come,
Celebrate your anniversary, your birthday, or just generally being fabulous.
Really, Kyle?
It's good, right?
Gen AI is supposed to be inviting people to Virgin Voyages, not doing whatever that was. Just give me that. As I was saying,
why not celebrate on
an award-winning voyage
with Michelin-starred chef-curated menus,
world-class destinations, award-winning...
Boring! I'll hop in there. I'll hop right in that suit.
So supple.
I can't watch this. Give it to me. There's no kids here. That's all you need to know.
No kids!
Oh, can I live there?
Gen AI. Invite your crew to voyage. Create your custom invite at virginvoyages.com.
It's not just a yacht, it's a super yacht.
So I know you will be talking about creative a lot more with Quinn and Amir later on, but I really couldn't let this go because it's really amazing. All it takes is getting your team together and thinking, how can you apply this to your businesses and innovate? So last but not least, I wanted to talk a few minutes about how AI can help companies being more efficient, and especially when we're thinking about retailers and online selling and everything. And one of our latest products that I wanted to show today is called Product Studio. It's natively integrated with Google Merchant Center, and it gives you the ability to create ads really in seconds. You know, you can upload your images, you can generate multiple scenes, and you can have descriptions that are generative AI powered, as it's catching up. And once you write the description of the scene, magically, the scene that you are describing appears on the image, very much like I did with the Fiat Cinquecento at the very beginning, adding all those details. But now it's applied to an ad. So you see what I'm doing here, what I'm showing you. This is Gemini in action, but in a platform that you can use for your advertising. And let's say you don't like it because, you know, let's face it, it's not very dreamy. You can also change it on the go and make it more relatable. Why is this important? We're all in the industry of marketing. We're all in the industry of showing the right ad at the right time at the right consumer. And having the ability to play with those ads on the fly makes it a lot more efficient. Because also producing millions of variation takes a lot of time, and how to know which is the variation that works. You might be ending up wasting some money. But in this way, it makes it a lot more efficient. So available in Merchant Center if you're using it today. If not, I invite you to talk to your Google rep about it. It's a dream for retailers. But what's next? So I asked Elad when I was preparing for this presentation, I said, what would make this presentation more effective? I'm very fond of leaving you with something tangible that you can do when you go home. I mean, of course, I know you had a lot of fun in this 25 minutes, but there's work to do when you go back. So here's a few inputs that you can take when you go back to your teams to start thinking about it and bringing AI to your environment. I'm very big on creating the magic circle. So what's the magic circle? Is really start mapping all of your teams. Starting to think, who do I have in HR, for example, that I can tap into to champion about AI? You might be thinking about what HR has to do with AI. Well, think about talent. Think about hiring. Think about training. I was talking to Quinn earlier this morning, and I said, Google just released on Coursera a $49 AI essential course that everyone in a company should take. I've been having my team taking it all. It's very easy. It's immediate. Everyone should have enough coverage about AI essential. Why? Because let's face it, the world is transforming. Would you ever think about not being able to use the internet today, going into a job interview? I mean, it goes without saying. Same on mobile. I'm not asking you to become AI developers today. I'm asking you to master everything that is AI essential right now so that you as a talent in the market can be, what can you be? More in demand, let's face it, and more performing for your companies. So AI essential number one. But also all of the other function. Start thinking, who in engineering has those skill set? Who in legal? Who in finance? Oh my God, finance, investment. What are we building in the company? And build your magic circle of the people that you need around the marketing organization to bring AI to life. And then, I'm not gonna review this all with you today, so don't panic. But this is a one-sheeter that once you get the deck, I invite you all to print so that you can have a roadmap for your marketing team about the transformation that you want to go through to take the best out of AI. We've heard Joe earlier talking about simple things like getting your analytics in place, getting your data all in one side, and really starting experimenting. Isolate few things that you can run agile experiments on and see what happens. With your agency, I'm sure you can have a lot of nice cases to really increase your competitive advantage. So that being said, my wish for you all, going back to my purpose earlier, I really wish for you to continue staying inspired with all that is happening in the AI industry. I really wish that you'll take it very seriously, both for yourself and for your company, building on yourself, in your talent, in your role. And I believe that that will benefit your marketing teams, your company, and eventually it's gonna bring growth to everything that you do. So hopefully you'll fall in love with the AI like I did. So thank you so much for listening. I still have 3 minutes. I thought that I wouldn't make it on time, but I did. So I'm happy to take one question before I hand it over to Quinn. And if there's no question, you can contact me on social media, and I'll be happy to continue the conversation.
Hi, thank you so much for that. I have a question about your squiggle.
Yes.
Does that affect our ad buying in any way, or is there a way for us to leverage that, or is it sort of built into the platform?
Yeah, as far as I know, it's built directly into the platform. Amazing. So I'm going to invite Quinn on stage. Quinn Fitzpatrick is the head of creative at Within. He leads an agency creative department overseeing team operations, client growth, creative development, and production. You have a lot on your plate. The Within creative team focuses on championing a performance branding approach across a diverse roster of clients, driving high volume and a variety of creative and client growth. Please join me welcoming Quinn on stage.
Let's see. How about now? Okay, awesome. Thanks, Nadia. That was awesome. Really appreciate the intro. What's up, everybody? It's great to see all of you. I'm really excited to be here and talk about how we leverage AI every day. As Nadia mentioned, I do lead the creative department here at Within, and we've become increasingly invested with leveraging AI in all aspects of our processes, our business, and our service offering over the last couple of years. So Nadia really spoke about the power and possibilities of AI, and you're going to hear more about the potential impact on a broader scale with ad development from Amir from Google a little bit later. But for a few minutes, I want to get a bit more tactical and show everyone some of the really simple ways that we've started to integrate AI and make it incredibly easy to use for our entire team. Because AI tools really have so much potential, as Nadia really showed us and took us through quite a bit of all the things that Google is doing to make it really, really easy for everybody to leverage AI in your day-to-day. But you really need everybody operating at a base level of understanding in order to make them really effective. So as we became more obsessed with the possibilities that AI held for us as a team in the past couple of years, we realized that we needed way more adoption across the board. The excitement around AI can't just come from leadership, right? It's great to have champions, but you really need everybody invested in some way. And so we really kind of thought about how should we drive adoption? How do we really make this easy? And honestly, it's just about accessibility. So how can we remove some of the barriers that we have with a lot of the AI tools, right? Like Nadia mentioned Midjourney, for example. That's something that is in Discord. That is something that people might not want to go into and deal with, right? So how do we remove that kind of barrier? Obviously, Google is doing an awesome job with all of their AI products in making this a top priority with exactly what we just looked at with the circle and squiggle being available to all Android users, right? That is something that we wanted to do as well, just with our team. So we asked ourselves, what's a tool that we all use every single day? Google Slides, exactly what we're looking at right now. And I'm sure most of the folks in the audience use on a regular basis, right? So we built a script. If you're not familiar with what scripts are within Slides or Sheets, as you can see from these screenshots, right? Basically, this is just another suite of tools on the toolbar of the Google Slides menu, right? So we have a script that gives you access to a library of scripts that we've created, essentially, that are all connected via API to other kind of tools and things like that. So as you see here, literally in this presentation, if we were to X out of the slideshow mode, right, you would actually see the Gen AI stack. You click into it, and we have all of these tools available that you can actually leverage right within this presentation, right? So this actually has the script running in this deck, and we actually leveraged everything we're going to walk through in this deck in particular. We didn't create anything here with any other tools or anything like that. So with that, just to give you a sense of what that actually looks like here, so for image tools, right, this is an entire list of all the image tools that we've embedded in our AI stack that everybody on our creative team and everybody in the company actually has access to and can leverage whenever they want, right? So up top, we have like Gen AI tools, so generative AI tools for net new image creation like DALL-E, Midjourney, and of course, Imagen. And then we have, text tools as well, like Gemini, as well as audio. So we have text to audio tools in here if you want to do a quick VO. We have that within Slides as well. So we've given these tools to the team to kind of accelerate the ability to, create things faster, whether that be final deliverables or even just brainstorms, right? So we're going to go through how this actually works with a tactical example a little bit. So let's think about creating a banner ad for this event in particular, right? So if we want to start, we're going to need something like a background image, right? So let's think about a small business conference at a popular tech startup, inspirational look and feel, negative space in the photo, composition for text overlay, right? Maybe a little bit more of an intimate feel for this one. So literally just run the script, and then we get an output like this, right? This is okay. In this case, when we put this together, went through a couple options, but this one I think we'll do for a background. We're going to put a bunch of other stuff over top of it. So then we need some graphic elements, right? So we do another prompt, modern graphic design element, contemporary Bauhaus design, blue and yellow color palette, set against a white background, leaving some room for negative space, which is going to come into play in a second. We run the script again, and then we get an output like this, right? Again, a couple of options. We choose this one. Looking pretty good. So this is the original. Now, if we want to actually make this usable within Slides, we want to start to overlay things, right? We're going to have to remove this background, which is another tool that we have within the stack here. We run the remove background script, and then we get this, which is a PNG. It's transparent. You can put it wherever you want. Okay. Then we're going to need to generate some copy. For this, we're going to tap Gemini, which we have in Slides here as well. So, hey, Gemini, can you please give me 5 headline options for a 300 by 250 web banner, right? So it's not giving us something that we can't leverage. And then we run the script again, and then we get a few options, right? Now, these are a little bit wordy for a banner, so we said, okay, what about innovate, collaborate, transform? That'll work, right? And let's put it together. So we have our background image. We have the graphic overlay. We have some copy here. And then we have a few other elements, like a button, logos, and then a performance branding summit title. So this button, for example, was also just created in Slides. Same with the text here. These are all Google fonts, as well as the logos. So these are things that you actually can just create within the presentation yourself pretty easily as well. I want to pause here really quickly, though. And I do want to mention the fact that there's quite a bit on screen here. This is something that's really important to consider when we think about how we leverage AI tools and we make this really, really simple. We still need to figure out how to put this together, right? Now, obviously, that's something that in some cases can be automated, right? In some cases, we can think about different AI tools and how we can put banners together with them. But it still takes a level of taste and a human touch to be able to put this together. And that's super, super important and something we think about constantly when we think about how we want to scale these things out. Because again, this is a lot of information. How do you put it on all together, right? So if we do put it all together, we end up with something like this, right? And again, this is just created within Slides. So the purpose here really is just to illustrate that with a little bit of championing, a little bit of ingenuity, we can take all of these tools, we can put them in the hands of everybody on our team, and we can make this something that everybody can have access to. So this is one way that we've done it, obviously. Obviously, Nadia talked a lot more about how it's being done at Google across the board, and later we're going to hear from Amir, who's going to talk about how this is being done with ad development as well. So that's pretty much it in terms of the demo here. I'm going to leave it open for questions, if anybody has any. Go for it.
You mentioned, I think in the earlier presentation, they brought in legal as one of the
Yep.
Who owns the rights to that image that AI generated and the graphic overlay?
Yes. Excellent question. So, when it comes to rights usage, there's a few things to keep in mind. First of all, you have to be very cognizant of the platforms that you're leveraging to generate imagery, essentially. And you also have to be very cognizant of things like font choice, all of that still comes into play. So like if we literally take a look at this banner we just made, you have to think about each of the components here. So everything here is pretty much fair game from a font perspective, right? From a colors perspective, all that kind of stuff. When it comes to the image itself, so that's where there's two things to consider. One is the platform that you're leveraging and what kind of rights you have to leverage on that platform. So for Midjourney, for example, if you have a commercial license for Midjourney, all of the imagery that you generate, you can technically, use in commercial usage. So the thing to consider there, though, is something like Midjourney may generate, I don't know, a Nike shoe, right? And it will show the logo in the image that you generate. Now, the platform gives you usage rights to use that anywhere. It's like if you work with a photographer, you're going to have to negotiate usage rights with a photographer. And that, you have access to. But if the photographer took a picture of a Nike shoe and you run it as an ad and you're not Nike, they can still send you a cease and desist, right? So that's something to consider as well. And where that comes into play is that Midjourney, for example, and DALL-E, they leverage, for training purposes, a wide set of data that includes copyrighted material. Google has actually been very public about Imagen, for example, not being trained on copyrighted material and being trained on publicly available data sets. So Imagen is probably a little bit safer in terms of copyright right out of the bat. But other platforms you have to be careful with. So it depends on which platform you're using it, how you're using it, and you still have to kind of be very cognizant of that. Does that help answer the question a little bit? Cool, perfect. Any other questions? Go for it.
Yeah, so this is when somebody's building it and has a hand in improving it. As we move to more dynamic, real-time content creation, similar to this but done completely automatedly, how are you thinking about adding brand controls into that, or particularly for brand-sensitive customers, ensuring that what they're putting out in the market without anyone ever having to formally approve it is within their brand guidelines and not running afoul?
That's a really good question. What I would say is very similar to how you think about brand guidelines in general for any kind of creative team. There are parameters that need to be set, right? And I think in this case, the parameters just come from a prompting perspective. So in some cases, what we've done is when we know we have, I think actually how we've thought about it is more so how do we get replicable imagery on a consistent basis, for example. And so we'll have certain prompt sets that have similar structures, right? So always have similar references, always have similar words and how the prompts are structured and things like that. And so you can actually create a prompting guideline, essentially. Now that prompting guideline you would probably need for each generative AI tool that you're using, because every generative AI tool that you use needs to be prompted differently. So Imagen, Midjourney, DALL-E, you need to know how to be able to actually extract what you want with different prompt structure and format and syntax for each one. Everyone works a little bit differently. And so with that, we'd probably have guides for each one of those. And if you want to put that in the hands of more people, et cetera, make sure that you're passing off those guides just like you would with brand guidelines. Does that help answer the question? Cool. Cool. All right, I think with that, we are going to take a quick coffee break. So if everyone wants to exit out here, we're going to take a few minutes. We have coffee, we have cookies. Thanks so much, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Well done. Cheers. Good job. Thank you.
But it's okay.
Thank you.
It's hard to put it into words, how the holidays will always hurt. I watch the fathers with their little girls and wonder what I did to deserve this. How could you hurt a little kid? I can't forget, I can't forgive you, 'cause now I'm scared that everyone I love will leave me. Scattered across my family line, I'm so good at telling lies. my family life. Oh, all that I did and try to undo it, all of my pain and all your excuses. I was a kid, but I wasn't clueless. Someone who loves you wanna do this. All of my past, I tried to erase it, but now I see, would I even change it? My share of faces, share a last name, but we are not the same. Scattered across my family line, I'm so good at telling lies. That came from my mother's side, told a million to survive. Scattered across my family line, God, I have my father's eyes, but my sisters when I cry. I can run, but I can't hide from my family life. From my family life. Maybe it's the way you say my name. Maybe it's the way you play your game. But it's so good. I've never known anybody like you. But it's so good. I've never dreamed of nobody like you. And I've heard of a love that comes once in a lifetime. And I'm pretty sure that you are that love of mine. 'Cause I'm in a field of dandelions, wishing on everyone that you would be mine, mine. And I see forever in your eyes. I feel okay when I see you smile, smile. Wishing on dandelions all of the time, praying to God that one day you'll be mine. Wishing on dandelions all of the time, all of the time. I think that you are the one for me, 'cause it gets so hard to breathe when you're looking at me. I've never felt so alive and free. When you're looking at me, I've never felt so happy. And I've heard of a love that comes once in a lifetime. And I'm pretty sure that you are that love of mine. 'Cause I'm in a field of dandelions, wishing on everyone that you would be mine, mine. And I see forever in your eyes. I feel okay when I see you smile, smile. Wishing on dandelions all of the time, praying to God that one day you'll be mine. Wishing on dandelions all of the time, all of the time. Dandelion into the wind you go. Won't you let my darling know? Dandelion into the wind you go. Won't you let my darling know that I'm in a field of dandelions, wishing on everyone that you would be mine. And I see forever in your eyes. I feel okay when I see you smile, smile. Wishing on dandelions all of the time, praying to God that one day you'll be mine. Wishing on dandelions all of the time, all of the time. I'm in a field of dandelions, wishing on everyone that you would be mine, mine. salty hair. Go ahead, explore the island vibe, so real that you can feel it in the air. I'm revving up your engine, I'll be your baby on a Sunday. Oh, why don't we get out of town? Why don't we get out of town? Catch the same wave. Oh, no, no, there's no slowing down. Let's go. You and I riding Harleys in Hawaii. I'm
Looking at you got me thinking nonsense. Cartwheels in my stomach when you're walking. When you got your arms around me, oh, it feels so good. I had to jump the octave. I think I got it next, but I've forgotten. And I can't find my chill, I must have lost it. I don't even know I'm talking nonsense. I'm talking all around the clock. I'm talking home, nobody knocks. I'm talking opposite of soft. I'm talking wild, wild thoughts. You gotta keep up with me. I got some young energy. I got the LOVE. How do you do this to me? But I can't help myself when you get close to me. Baby, my tongue goes numb. Sounds like blah, 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 blah. And I don't want no one else. Baby, I'm in too deep. It's a love song I wrote. It's about you and me. I'll be honest. Looking at you got me thinking nonsense. Cartwheels in my stomach when you're walking. When you got your arms around me, you always feel so good. I had to hit the octave. I think I got it next, but I've forgotten. And I can't find my chill, I must have lost it. I don't even know I'm talking nonsense. I'm talking. This song catchier than chicken poxes. I bet your house is where my other sock is. Woke up this morning, thought I'd write a pop hit. How quickly can you take your clothes off? Pop quiz.
That one's not gonna make it. Most of these aren't gonna make it.
Go to bed. I'll make a cup of coffee for your head. They'll get you up and going out of bed.
Yeah, I don't wanna fall asleep, I don't wanna pass away. I've been thinking of our future cause I'll never see those days. I don't know why this has happened, but I probably deserve it. I tried to do my best, but you know that I'm not perfect. I've been praying for forgiveness, you've been praying for my health. When I leave this earth, hoping you'll find someone else. Cause yeah, we still young, there's so much we haven't done.
One mic. Do you guys want lavaliers or handhelds? Whatever, Steve. Let's do handhelds. Cool.
I was right. Steven has a permanent Gramsci and he's gonna lend it to me.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's my tenant? I'm not gonna say her desk is a mess.
My desk is not a mess. I'm a great tenant. I've heard nothing but great things from my owner.
I've heard nothing but great.
Doorman more than I bother my owners.
Just got an email.
Oh my god, I harassed my owners. Oh, you gotta be nice to them. We have old people like that in my building too, but my doorman, when I come in, and then they try to get me to talk to them, but I'm coming back from work, I'm like, I don't want to talk to you right now. Yeah, then like, I gotta go.
All right. Hi, everybody. So good to be here. I usually come and do my slot, but this time I came all the way because I just love the agenda, and I'm so happy I did that because all the presentations I've seen so far have been great. So, you know, I have there's a high bar. Let's see how I do. But thanks so much for coming and sharing all the stuff that you guys are doing. It's super interesting. A little bit about myself. My name is Amir. I've been at Google for 9 years. I've been, before that, agencies, ran creative departments at Saatchi, at Gray, and DDB. And then I switched to digital and moved to Google and had to basically forget everything that I've learned because my clients back in Tel Aviv, which is where I'm from, were all about performance. There were tech companies, and they didn't want to spend on video yet. It was before video even started to be a thing on digital. And my whole role was about showing them the value and helping them actually do it in a very, very lean way that will actually work and perform for them. So that's kind of my journey. I moved to New York to make a little adjustment of where I put my focus. So I've spent all of my career, over 20 years, trying to help clients do better work, which has been great, and I've learned a lot, but it's also been very hard and painful and frustrating. And what I've done now is I've kind of switched in to work with our product teams to help them as they're building tools and creative assets and kind of leveraging all of these things. So, you know, hopefully I can help even more clients make better advertising. Basically, my space about a year ago became the coolest space, you know, ever. We're going through a creative revolution that is as big as the camera. Okay, it's really big, and it's amazing. maybe it's even bigger because it just touches on all the different aspects of creative. So I keep saying this to everybody, and I truly mean it. If hopefully I can convince you that I got superpowers. I got superpowers because all the things that I'm not good at, because I'm quite a lazy person, AI is now helping me with, and that's amazing. So if I need to write and explain to a client or to my managers why we should do something that's very creative and is not very comfortable, I can basically just describe it to an LLM now, and he will write it up in a way that will feel very professional and research, and that will help me. So a lot of these things are now kind of helping creative come together. And I'm going to show you how my team are using these superpowers in different ways. And hopefully it will be interesting. Some of these things that you're going to see, we won't be able to share with you because they're completely kind of internal and in development, and some of it will not be even developed. It's just kind of us thinking out loud. So, you can ask me later which ones are actually happening or not, but just know that. So I'm starting with Year in Ads. Year in Ads is a project we've done last year, and because of AI, it was the first time that we could actually look at all the ads that ran throughout the year on YouTube together at the same time and try to understand what happened, what made the ads that work. What did we even feature? And we call it Year in Ads because it was kind of a sister project to Year in Search, where we show how people search. We think that ads are kind of another way to look at our society. It was interesting for us to see that. So, with AI, we can see a lot of different things, all the way from what's featured in the ad, the colors, the music, all the way to sentiment analysis. Are people happy and sad? And a lot of different things that we can look at. And, it was interesting, but a lot of the things that we got felt kind of obvious. But I will take you through the stuff that was meaningful for me. So music obviously plays a huge part in ads, but a lot of the ads that performed well have used music. And I think it's interesting because YouTube is a very music-friendly platform. And when a pre-roll comes up and it has good music in it, that kind of helps you as a user know that this is going to be something that might kind of just take you in it. So we've seen that music is very, very powerful and becoming more kind of integrated into ads. Humor, I think that's one thing we really like to see. The year that we've compared these data to were the COVID years. So it was kind of depressing. But, we've stepped out of it. And ads really, I think, marketing just needed to kind of break loose. So we've had a lot of fun, humor. And the thing that makes me very optimistic is that the kind of humor that we've seen is kind of more sophisticated, more subtle. And I think that's great for ads. This is another kind of obvious one. Pets work. I got to tell you, I just did a live test for this. We got a puppy about 3 weeks ago. I have 3 kids and a puppy now. I'm walking around with my 3 kids. They're adorable, by the way. Nobody pays any attention to them here. Everybody is just obsessed about this puppy. So I can definitely tell you that these things work. They always worked in ads, and they work today. But this is what is different, okay? And this was the thing that really, literally blew our minds, which is this stat. 60% of the ads that we've seen out of those 20 million were longer than 1 minute. Longer than 1 minute. And for us, it was really a great thing because it means that these ads were made for YouTube. There is basically no other place where you can, in a scaled way, run 60 plus. It just doesn't work. So that made us very happy. And as a creative person, it makes me very happy because I know what length unlocks, okay? When you can do long ads, and I'll give you some data around this later, a lot of creative elements unlock that you can't do on short formats. So there's a little stat here below that's even more impactful in my opinion. 75% of the YouTube auction ads were non-TV standard lengths. So it's not only that we're doing longer ads, longer than 1 minute. The ads that we're seeing, 75% of them do not apply to the TV lengths, which it's another thing that makes us really happy. Okay, we don't have to really think about, it has to be 15 seconds. If it needs to be 17 or 7, you can do that. And advertisers are taking advantage of this, which means they're not just importing TV assets into digital platforms, and that's definitely a good thing. So why? What's happening? Let's break it down. We'll start with the challenge. What are we facing today, as marketers? And then we'll talk about how AI and generative AI is really going to help us, take this to the next level. So looking at our data, we've seen 3 forces that kind of drive marketing at the moment. The first one is impulses versus infinite information. The other one is hunger for content. And the last one is expectations for relevance. And I'll break these down for you. So don't worry, you don't need to memorize them. So let's start with the first one. We've seen these interesting stats. When people buy frying pans online, they really spend a lot of time on research. Okay, we've seen searches around frying pans, they grew 400%. People really want to understand and make the best decision when it comes to a frying pan, okay, that costs $30. On the other hand, this Fendi bag is 2,500 euros, 0 research. I don't care. I don't know. I don't care. I've seen it. I want to just buy it now. And when you think about this and kind of bring it down to performance advertising or just normal kind of us talking to customers, right? Even in a store, sometimes, we don't want any information and we get bombarded with information that's cluttering away to just making a purchase. In other times, we need more information and brands are just pushing us to make the buy and they retarget us again and again when we can't really make that decision yet. So that's a big kind of scale where we need to know how to play. And that's only one of the 3 things, okay? Let's talk about expectation for relevance. We've all become very spoiled because of digital, okay? Let's talk about Netflix. When you open your Netflix, it doesn't look like my Netflix, right? It's curated for you. It's what you want to watch. Same goes for YouTube, right? Your YouTube feed. It's amazing how we hear this from customers and users all the time. How did you know that I would want to watch that video, right? AI is helping us really do that in a much better way. And it's happening with ads as well, right? We've become much, much better at doing targeting. And users expect it. They now expect it. They got used to it. Think about it. You're getting an ad for a product that you would never use, right? I remember used to, watching TV ads and seeing like, women products and kind of, just trying to figure out what's my reaction supposed to be to that. We don't do that anymore. You can't do that anymore. And it goes into a more detailed and specific ways, like how users actually want to be talked to. The third one is this explosion of formats and content variations and all of these things. And I'll show you the scale here. It's hard to read, but we're talking about, on the one hand, connected TVs, which has been exploding. And for us, it's been the fastest growing screen for the last 5 years. Okay, so when we think about YouTube, our kind of YouTube on TV, people opening YouTube in their living room is our fastest growing thing. On the other side of it, we see this explosion of short form, vertical, TikTok, right? On the other side, and then we launched Shorts on our platform, and it's been a huge success. So these two are very, very different, ways of consuming content, and we have to address that. And the thing is that people just want more and more and more of it. We've seen that, Gen Z specifically, but all of us, we don't think about it when we consume the content, right? We just go and do whatever we want. We watch we watch a video on YouTube, and then we start going into Shorts, and an hour and a half went by, and we just do it very intuitively. As marketers, we're still in a place where we're thinking about this, and we have to really spend a lot of time making sure that we have the right assets for the right platform at the right time, and it takes a lot of energy of our industry. Here's some good news. For YouTube, YouTube is the only place where all of these different behaviors come together, okay? We have connected TVs, I've spoken about it. We have mobile. We have desktop. Almost nobody has desktop. We have all the different lengths. We can do short, we can do very long. We have a really successful case study with Nissan last year. They ran a 4-hour long ad, and I'll talk about length as well. So you can really do all of that, and you can do all of that with a sign-in kind of user that helps you take them through the funnel and really, using AI, understand where they are and what is the right thing we need to show them for them. We've also done this survey. We've asked people, if you were stranded on a deserted island and you could choose one streaming platform, what would you choose? And most people said YouTube, with an emphasis on Gen Z, by the way. But I always kind of apologize for this because I think it's a bit of we tricked it a little bit, because we're the only platform that can actually help you maybe get off the island. But that's YouTube, right? YouTube is here for entertainment, and it's here to bring us value. So we've established this, right? Everybody needs to spend more money on YouTube. Great, done. But let's talk about how AI is enabling us to really, go over these challenges. Well, so something happened to my slide, but I actually like it. It's interesting. So this is the funnel. As you can see, we've kind of redrawn it because we felt like the old funnel was just off, right? It's interesting, but it doesn't really work like that. We just seen people want to go from being aware to a brand to immediately buy it, for example, right? They don't always go through the funnel. Sometimes you buy something and then you go back. So it's a big mess. So in order to do that, we use AI. And what AI needs, it needs a lot of different assets. That's the only thing that we need. In order for us to be able to do that for you, we need a lot of different variations. That's where our marketing is kind of going forward. If AI can make the decisions, right, when we have these universal buying tools, to basically make sense of which asset should go in front of which user at what time, what we need is to make sure that it has all the different variations in order to really, get to that opportunity. Okay, so a lot more assets. And, just to kind of, give you a sense of it, we've moved as Google from having between 20 to 25 assets per campaign to having over 40,000 variations per campaign, right? So that's how we think about it. And the more we give the machine, the better it can basically do. And again, we have the biggest creative opportunities at the moment. The canvas is, has no limits. There's so much we can do and we need to think about when we do a campaign, right? All the way from teasers and to long form to, we have UGC is something that's coming up really, really strongly, and it's been great to see the work that you guys are doing. So all of these things are opportunities for us to take advantage of, but it's also really, really, really hard. And this is what we need to do. We need to go back to focus on the heart of the funnel. The way I see it, and again, I've been in this industry for over 20 years, we've had to sort of move away from focusing on what we call the big idea to breaking down a campaign into all of these different components in order to make, to meet what digital sort of asked for. But doing that, I think we sort of left behind a lot of what the industry brought to the table, which was just these mind-blowing ideas that once you saw them, you fell in love with the brand. So that combination is what we need to kind of maintain. And this is something that AI will not be able to do in the near future. It's going to take a lot of time to really understand what moves customers. Is something that only we can do. And so our strategy to all of this is start with the long form. Start with the heart. Start with the asset that is the most meaningful, the one that you're spending a lot of money on, and do it right so we can then use that as a base to cut a lot of different assets and take advantage of a lot of other opportunities. And long form is one of the most, we have Casper here, and that industry specifically is so interesting, especially the work that Purple has done, and a lot of other competitors with very long form ads, right? So a lot of marketers are not utilizing this thing, even though you can do it on YouTube. They just don't do it. And I get it. I mean, you say, you know, people don't like ads in general. So when you say to people, let's make ads longer, you don't get usually a big cheer. But actually, it's not what we mean. We don't mean let's take this terrible, shitty thing and make it longer. What we're saying is when you have more time, you don't have to do ads anymore. I'll give you some stats. So 30 seconds, the most popular, right, classic format. We found that actually it's the unsweet spot, okay? These are the least performing assets on our platform, the 30 seconds. Now, it's not to say that there aren't brilliant 30-second ads. There are, and I grow up on them, and they're amazing, but it's very hard to do. And these are the reasons, right? It's too complex to automate, right? It's still a long form. It's too long if you're forced to watch it. So we've seen that we've used to have a non-skip 30-second. We got it off the platform. The longest we do now is 20 seconds because users really hated it. So if you force somebody to watch 30 seconds, it's too much. It's too short if you're interested. So the ad started, I'm listening, it's good, and then it ends. And nothing really happens. I need more information now. And the last one is it's too short to convince. It's really hard. And this is why, you know, this is what our industry is all about. How can you take something that's very complicated and say in one line and in a way that will get everybody to buy into it has been the trade of our industry. It's really, really hard to do in 30 seconds. The most performing, either shorter than 15. So we've seen a lot of success with this, especially if you want to tackle the awareness part of the funnel. That's great. Or even if you have a sale and you want to push a lot of media, that's great. And then over 60 seconds. Okay, so see that gap. Over 60 seconds opens up a whole world for you. This is the sweet spot, right? Between 2 to 3 minutes. So this is actually where ads perform best. Now, I have to say that I think it's actually longer, but we just don't have the data to support that. Because if we just take the really long ads that have been performing well, we just don't have a lot that are longer than 3 minutes. But I have to say that with my experience, every time I added more seconds, the performance for some reason got better. And we've ran a lot of tests taking, 3.5-minute ads and putting them against versions of 1 minute of the same, campaign. And most cases, not always, the long form wins. And again, it opens up all of these opportunities when you do that. You don't have to do ads, right? Because people don't like ads, but they like these things. We can do music videos, and we can do a documentary, and we can do an explainer video. We can do a how-to video about our brand or about our category. We can do all of these things, something that's really fun and entertaining. We can work with creators. When it comes to cars, we've seen that people, right, when you want to buy a car, you go through YouTube because you want to see the car for hours and hours and hours from every possible angle and make sure that it has all the features that you want. And yet, car ads are still 30 seconds. So it opens up a lot of opportunity for us not to make shitty ads, but actually to make content. A lot of the big brands got it. Nike, it's really hard to find ads from Nike that are shorter than 1 minute. This is a 27 minutes documentary from Ralph Lauren that has 21% completion rate. So 21% of the people who got served this 27-minute piece, watched it for 20% of it. This is 27 minutes. Think about the amount of time that they've spent with this brand and the history of the brand. How valuable is that? Apple are doing these long ads that keep getting longer and longer, and the stories that they make keep getting better and better. And I'll show you one example here. So before we play, this is an 8 and a little bit minute ad that Apple did. It's part of a series of ads that they've started doing in COVID about this group of people who were kind of working from home and then returning to office and then leaving their jobs to start a company, kind of taking us all through everything that we have thought about and done through COVID. And let's watch a little. We won't watch all of it. It's 8 minutes, so we won't watch all of it, but let's watch a little bit of it.
morning, guys. It's the big day. Where are you? Where are we? Where's the presentation?
I thought the meeting was at 10.
It is. I just got here a little early, put the finishing touches. You were meant to send it on Friday.
Did you share the presentation yet?
I am about to share it.
Wow, is that their office?
Oh, yes. Check this out. It's ginormous.
That's like 100 floors. Right, now I'm even more nervous.
Guys, this is a game changer, okay? We're gonna crush this meeting. So don't be late, and Dave, don't wear cargo shorts.
I'm changing.
Guys, I gotta go. My Mac. The presentation.
Yeah, boy!
And this always happens when this ad stops because you guys just want to keep watching it. You don't want to hear me. And now it stopped and it's 8 minutes and you want the whole 8 minutes. And this is what happens when you don't do ads and you do content. Okay? People actually watch it on YouTube and it's amazing. Oh, sorry. Before we go into that, and I don't have a lot of time, so Elad, do let me know if I can have an extra 5 minutes. Because you did pay for the 45, I told you. So this was the main piece, but I want to show you how they use that production, okay, not just that long film, but that production to create all of the different assets and variations for the other platforms that they needed, okay, including the different things that we need. And that's, I think it's just a great way to work. So that's kind of that. Now, this is my baby from a year ago. It's 1 year old. It's called Dream Ads. It's something that I started doing inside Google because we felt like there is a lot of really cool innovation happening and we want to bring it into our space. We want to bring it into the ad space. We want to play with it. So we've started basically knocking on everybody's doors, all the way from like our friends at DeepMind, research teams, engineers, and kind of saying, hey, can we talk to you? Do you want to work with brands, with really big brands about kind of building these products? And we were very happy that they agreed to do it. And this is our mantra, is we want to close the gap between imagination and creation. And this is what's happening at the moment, right? You're able to come up with an idea, and instead of giving it to somebody else, to give it to somebody else, to then execute it in a way that actually it's not what you meant, we're going from that to having cameras that actually are directed internally into our brains. And that's amazing. And what we're kind of looking at is, what will that bring? What will that bring? Because what it means is that a lot more people, a lot more lazy people like me, are now able to create. We're able to bring our ideas to life. So we're going to have a lot more ideas out there. And that means we're going to have new ideas. And that's what I'm excited about. So some of the things that we have been working on to kind of harness these powers. Gemini, the thing is, we've started thinking about this a year ago, and everything changed as we're doing it, which is great, but at the same time, it's kind of frustrating. But Gemini was really a big jump for us because it allowed us to do all of these things at once. So let's start with this, insights. So there's a team at Google that built this tool called Search Scout. And what it does, it actually predicts what will trend using AI. So it's not what's trending at the moment that we're interested in. It's helping our customers understand what is about to trend in their industry. So they're able to move at the speed of culture and create assets to be ready for when that happens. Okay, so for example, we've played around with Nike to see whether pickleball is going to still be a thing. Yes, sadly, it is going to still be a thing. And we will not be able to book any tennis courts in New York. This is another thing that we're thinking about. We've been working with the Mill on this idea of a storyboarder tool, an AI storyboarder tool. So for me, I just got the best creative partner ever, in the shape of these LLMs. The main reason is not because it's smart and it doesn't get lazy and I can ask it to do it more and more and more and more. But the best thing about it doesn't say what it thinks about my ideas, like my old creative partners. It's just like, absolutely, and this is great. And so this has really have been incredible. But one of the things that we have been playing around is a writing tool. So all of these different platforms, and how do I actually write for all of these different platforms? We want to automate that. So with the storyboarder, you'll be able to upload a script or use Gemini to start writing a script, and then immediately get it storyboarded. okay, which will create the backbone of your production. So if you want to go to a shooting day that has an 8-minute video, but a lot of these different versions, you'll be able to do that with a storyboard. And not only that, it will know all of our best practices. So I don't know if you guys are aware of our ABCDs for YouTube. With one click of a button, Gemini will just, fix your script to fit whatever platform you're actually running on, making sure the first 5 seconds are done well, and the product is kind of surfacing.
This is me speaking English, the only language that I can speak fluently. और अब ऐसा लग सकता है कि मैं हिंदी बोल रहा हूँ, एक भाषा जिसे मैं पूरी तरह से नहीं बोल सकता. Jetzt spreche ich vielleicht Deutsch, ich spreche auch kein Deutsch. The craziest part about this is that it doesn't just sound like I'm speaking a different language, it looks like it too. Hay algo completamente salvaje.
Okay, so another thing that's happening, it's more on the production side, is, and I'm fascinated by this technology. I mean, it definitely has the scary side of it, which I'm not going to go into at the moment. But if you're thinking about it and you're kind of neutralizing that for a second, because hopefully we'll get it solved, what you're able to do with this thing is just really make ads at scale. We've seen the Jennifer Lopez case study, which is great. But basically, think about just being able, as a creative, when you do a global ad, it was always hard because you couldn't really have actors talking to camera, right? Otherwise, it will be terribly dubbed in Israel, and you'll have kids growing on really weird kinder advertising. But now we're not able to. We don't have to do that. We can actually have the best actors in the world talk to camera and act and have it very natural in every language that we want to. So it makes ads much, much better and more scaled. I'm going to finish with one more example in this thought. What I see is happening is that we keep expanding the people who are, can actually access creativity. We went from basically artists and, these crazy artists who live in their apartments and cut off their ears, to photographers who are able to capture everything that we're seeing, to YouTubers who are able to just use their phones in order to tell stories, to now this, where everybody can basically be a creative. And this is what we're seeing. We're seeing, I see on my feeds, I see lawyers that are doing creative things because they can, which is just incredible. So I'm going to finish with this amazing Adobe ad that I think illustrates that point beautifully.
Once upon a time, there was a little kid, that's me, and she was in a magic garden. A really big garden with all her toys. And there were cats. Well, that's cute. And unicorn cats and a bear. No, a real bear. And there was a cupcake castle with a candle. And on top of the castle was a horsey with wings. No, those wings. No, those wings. Yes. And then she flew off to get all her friends.
Sweet Caroline, the good times never seem so good.
Thank you very much. Am I supposed to invite the next guest? Okay. Somebody more responsible will do that.
Well, I'm the next guest, so I'll just jump in then. Thank you, Amir. That was great. I really appreciate it. We're going to talk a lot about content, which is great, and how we make more volume of it. We're going to talk about breakfast within's UGC arm that helps brands make more content, but we use UGC creators to do that. We're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to bring up Stephen. I need a clicker. Stephen is the strategic advisor, investor, and mentor to many brands in the CPG space. He is the chief revenue officer for the Beard Club, and he's a very good friend within and breakfast. So we're going to work with him a lot during this. So real quick, we're going to play a fun game for breakfast, which is the breakfast ad. So one of these ads, both ads are Beard Club ads. One of these ads was made by a breakfast UGC creator, and one was not. So we're going to take a vote of hands. Who thinks this one over here on the right is one? and the one on the left. Let's see what it is. Most people did guess the left, so that was good. All right, we're going to play again. Here we go. This one over here. No, we're split. And on that side. All right, let's take a guess. Ooh, it's the one on the right. Not everybody got that one. We're going to do one more. It's really exciting to see this come to play, because the whole point is we want to make content that feels authentic to the brand. We want to make content that is unique to the platforms we're on. So again, this side and that side. Good, split down the middle again. All right, it's going to be this one. All right. That's Andy. He's actually one of our creators. He pops up a lot, but he obviously has a great beard. So do Steven and I. That's why we're presenting today. Steven, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Let's talk about UGC and how it's a part of the industry today. A lot of brands seem to be a little skeptical about it, even though it's at the forefront of the industry. You know, it's big for influencers and stuff like that. But why do you think it's important nowadays?
You know, I think it's important to note that when I hear brands are skeptical, I feel like it's mainly because these brands are, think that they're being told that they should be replacing brand content with UGC content. And I think it's important to note that nobody is, or no one should be telling brands to replace brand content. I think brand storytelling from your brand voice needs to continue to play an important part of your content mix. But I really think that there's a ton of desire for authentic content. I think consumers really want that social proof. They want to hear from a network of their peers what they think about a brand, what they think about a product. So I continue to be surprised when I hear brands are still skeptical of UGC because it doesn't feel like we live in a world where a brand is the only person who can communicate the story. And so I think that that's been, interesting to try and find, like, how does authentic content play in all different types of brands, from big brands to smaller brands, and how that plays in the mix. And, I think we'll all still have our Super Bowl commercials and, we'll all still cry when that dog chases the Clydesdale around the farm. But I think it's really important, and every brand has a place for authentic content.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always interesting when we talk to brands about, like, really truly making content for each channel we're on. Like, the content you're running on YouTube shouldn't be the same content we're running on Meta or TikTok, wherever we are. And really, like, layering in UGC is important to that because you're trying to attract that customer, really being authentic to who your customer is. And when they're bought into the brand, make that really great content that keeps them buying year after year after year. So let's talk a little bit about your experience with making this UGC content. How do you typically, like, write a brief? A lot of brands find that daunting. Briefs are really intense or time consuming. How do you look at that?
Yeah, I think the briefing process has evolved a lot over the years. I mean, in the past decade for sure, but even more so in the past 2-3 years, as new avenues of content become available to us through creators, ambassadors, influencers, how we brief content has changed a lot. And for us, we actually lean heavily on our partners for that. They're the ones who are way more in tune with the trends than I think a lot of in-house can be. And what's been great is it's unlocked a ton of resources for us internally, because sourcing creators, communicating with creators, negotiating with creators takes a lot of time and a lot of resources. And when you try and do it at scale, it can be very hard in-house. And so as we've started to outsource that to our partners, we've been able to allocate internal resources to driving other high ROI initiatives.
Yeah, absolutely. I love how when we work with the Beard Club, you're constantly bringing in partners and testing and making sure opportunities are out there so you can really find what's working, and and that's ever changing as we find. Obviously, Beard Club has a very unique customer and everything that they're looking for in that. But talk about how you select creators. It's a little niche. So how does that work?
Yeah, actually been pretty challenging for Beard Club in particular, because our SKU portfolio kind of takes you through your entire beard journey. So we need creators who, we have products that solve beard growth, people who want to grow their beards, not just maintain it. So we need to find creators who have thin, patchy beards so they can speak to that content. We've got grooming products. So we need to find creators who have nice beards like yours, not thin ones like mine, who can speak to that content. We have a body grooming line. So it's been pretty challenging to do that. And so again, having having partners has been great. They have the resources, they have the infrastructure, they have the knowledge to be able to help us find a variety. Because you would think it's just men with beards, but it's quite larger than that. And having partners has been great.
Yeah, as you can all see in the numbers up here, like Beard Club's been with us, I think about a half a year now, maybe a little bit more. But they've been working with us, and we bring in over 50 creators, and we're constantly bringing in more. You know, finding creators with beards isn't necessarily the easiest thing to do, but also at the same time, like it's exciting when we bring in a new one or they make great content and it starts to scale really well, and we can work with them even longer. Are there times when you don't approve content? Obviously, we're generating volume of content. Breakfast is usually typically per project. We're generating 60 assets for you, if not more. Do you have issues with approving content? What does that kind of look like?
No, really. But that's the beauty of authentic content, at least to me. It's not about we only want light shining in from the left, or the derma roller always has to be facing up. It's about products that are in use in real life that can resonate authentically with consumers, and that's what's been great. And I mean, I think we've been able to test over 1,000 different creatives in April across our platforms, and just being able to take that content and have it feel authentic. Don't be pixel perfect, right? And like there's diminishing returns to that type, particularly with UGC content. It's more about the authenticity than every pixel being in a perfect spot.
Yeah, the content, especially when you're looking at volume, it's not always going to be the most perfect thing in the world, but your audience likes that. They recognize that. They want to be approached. They want to feel like you're your friend, your family member, maybe your neighbor, you know, somebody who's approachable so they can really understand that you're paying attention to what they want. And if we can focus that in some trends and things like that and really know that you're paying attention to them, they tend to really pay attention and then start to convert from there. What are some of the key lessons you've learned about UGC? Maybe give away some secrets if you have any.
You guys have the secrets. That's my secret. I think it's about volume testing. Like I said, we tested over 1,000 different creatives in April, which is, you know, close to our peak outside of holiday time, which is nice for generally slow time of year for beard growth. So really just making sure that you build a framework that allows you to test at high volumes and test at scale. And then equally as important is having some vehicle to scale your winners quickly. And that's what we see when you test so many, you'll find winners. So if you test 1,000, we should be finding winners. And so having some sort of vehicle or process in place that allows you to quickly take advantage of that, because a lot of this stuff is trendy, right? It is like what is happening now, what are the trends that are happening now, what's resonating now, and so you need to have like a vehicle to be able to take that and scale it across multiple channels. And
as you were saying, trends end. You know, you got to continually be making more because the next trend's coming. And how do you stay ahead of that? Like, I know specifically when you work with Breakfast, our turnaround time is within 2 weeks. You're getting a new trend, right? So it works really quickly to try and allow you to optimize what you're working with to what your audience is looking for right now. And let's talk a little bit about YouTube. You know, Beard Club's now on YouTube, and they're doing great. Tell us a little bit more about your learnings there.
Been awesome. We just launched our first YouTube Shorts campaign. I think about 6 weeks ago now. Within 4 days, we had 5x the budget. It was instant traction. It was great. We were blown away. Our partners at Within have been super helpful at getting us up on the platform and pushing us there. And I finally listened to them. I should do more of that. And so that's been great. And yeah, 5x it. Now we're expanding into new audiences, into new campaign styles. And now the challenge has been for our team is now how do we create the same framework we have on our higher scaled channels to test lots of creative, to launch new things, try not to disrupt algorithms, let it do its thing, but also be able to test a lot of content at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, as you saw in the presentation before, I don't think you can test enough right now. You can't funnel in enough content, especially with Google and YouTube and how they're pushing more of it, which is great. We're now going to open up for questions. If anybody wants to ask questions, one question I'm allowed to ask. As well, we have Breakfast is offering a free trial. If you scan this QR code, it'll link to a calendar. Please schedule that meeting. If you schedule that, you'll get qualified for up to 8 UGC videos. And just for taking that meeting, you will qualify for that. So make sure you scan this while we're going through. I'm in the way of it. But we'll take questions if anybody has any.
I'll just get one thing.
There are questions. Go ahead, Asher.
So one, I think, challenge that sometimes brands run into is they're worried about the investment in new creative, especially when there's like winners and losers. But if you're testing, 1,000 creative a month, obviously, right? You're going to have 10% winners, 30% average, 60% losers. I'm making up the ratio, obviously. But how do you deal with kind of any concerns from your creative team in particular, or very brand focused teams about like, hey, this creative didn't perform, it's not getting a lot of spend. Like, how do you kind of ease their worries and help them get on board with the winners and be okay that like, hey, that didn't really see the day of light. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's that's a challenging one. Yeah, I mean, the partners on the brand team are super important to try and communicate the big story, our big message, our key message, our value props. And I think educating brand folks on where each part of the funnel content lives and why some may get more spend than others, some are going to get more eyeballs than others, and trying to better communicate and partner with our performance team about how, we very, very much try not to say their content, our content, especially for us who not only do you have internal performance and internal brand, you have external performance and external brand, and really try and have everyone understand that each type of content has a part in the funnel and they're all equally as important. And it's all about how they work together to drive the best result.
Yeah, we talk all the time about how the more ads you can run throughout the funnel, we want the branded content, we want the influencer content, we want the UGC, because all are going to bring in a different customer and we want to attract all of them. So really focusing in there. And it can become challenging, but also at the same time, like we know at the end of the day, we're all here to drive the best performance for the brand. So how do we optimize that? All right. I have things to say. Next up is Marisa. And she is Within's integrated media director who has a passion for finding and capitalizing on synergies. Thank you, Stephen. Between brand and performance. She's coming up on 5 years at Within. She has managed businesses from pre-launch to enterprise expansion across single brand and portfolio clients in both a D2C and B2B capacity. She's going to speak awesome things right now and bring up some really cool people. So I'm going to hand it over to her.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, you can put them on the chairs. All right, how's everyone doing? We're still awake? We're feeling good? All right, well, today we're going to be talking a little about balancing brand with performance. And to help me do that are two fantastic people. We have Alicia Reich, who is a consumer marketing strategist with expertise in creating data-driven, customer-first marketing programs with a 360 approach to lead brands in their efforts of growth, retention, and loyalty. With over 18 years of experience, Alicia currently serves as Vice President, Digital Marketing at Movado Group, where she leads a team that is responsible for elevating their brand portfolio across marketplaces while capturing share of voice globally. So welcome, Alicia. And joining her is Josh Miller, the very own, currently the Executive Director of Paid Media at Orveon Global, which includes Laura Mercier, Bare Minerals, and Buxom Cosmetics. Previously, he worked on the Global Corporate Marketing Center of Excellence team at the Estee Lauder Companies, and he's also been an adjunct professor at NYU teaching a graduate level marketing course. So welcome, Josh. All right, so I'm going to softball you guys the first one and give you guys some context on who you're talking to. So can you give us some background on each of your roles and purview into this discussion?
Sure. So I'm the executive director at Orveon Global, and my focus is in paid media. Unlike a lot of other portfolio companies, especially in beauty, our team is different, where we actually own the budgets on behalf of all the brands. So we mostly focus on go-to-market strategies as well as activation, and we partner with Agency Within, who is our AOR.
At Movado Group, my team's responsible for all things growth, retention, and marketing across our portfolio of brands. And within the team, we don't own any budgets. We actually spend everybody else's money. It's really fantastic, actually. And hi, all of my Within people and my team over here. We consider ourselves one team with the Within team. So we all have one goal. We're all charging to one goal, and that's to sell all of you a lot of watches across every platform, digital specifically, but also traditional owned and operated channels like email and SMS as well.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that there are both of their products out at the raffle, so you're going to be very lucky firsthand experience after this. But to kick things off, what does brand and performance mean in the current scope of your marketing program?
For me, I feel like it's living two different lives. It's a little bit of art and science. So the science part is definitely the performance marketing piece. Especially if you think about it, if you have like an e-com store, direct to consumer, you have a really strong feedback loop or a signal that could be conversion. And you can basically in real time see what's working, what's not working, and really whittle it down to numbers. And then the other life that I live is basically the art side, which is branding. And not to say that there aren't numbers that you can look at for branding, but they just mean a little bit different. For example, brand lift studies, everyone likes to look at them, and you hear of a campaign that has 20% lift in brand, right? Or in awareness. And that sounds great, but what does that actually translate to sales? That's a much harder translation than it is with a 20% increase in conversions. So it's balancing these two is how I think about brand versus performance.
For me, they're one and the same. I can't sell watches if you don't know my brand. We have Movado, 130 years history. If you don't know us, come talk to us. Let's talk. But then we also have brands like Movement and Olivia Burton, who not a lot of people know. Olivia Burton's out of London, and we're still building it up in the US. So you can't do lower without properly doing upper funnel brand demand generation as well. And for me and like for the team, we're not just charged with selling watches on DTC. We support all sales channel, our wholesale partners, our Amazon teams, our brick and mortar stores for our outlet business. We have to be really considerate that overall we're trying to create this desirability, build the brand equity, and then bring it down to performance. You know, like Josh said, it is an art and a science, but there's different metrics that you need to really be focused on to be able to do both really well.
Yeah, and speaking of metrics, I think one of the biggest blockers to people entering a full funnel strategy, specifically with brand, is measurement. So when you're doing this for your businesses, how do you think about measurement and KPIs?
So I have a pretty aggressive view on this, and this is the view is the reason why, or one of the reasons why we work with Agency Within, which is we don't really rely on, or we rely very heavily on causal-based measurement, so incrementality studies or MMMs. And the way that I've always thought about things since the changes with attribution and privacy is that you have the top-down view of MMMs, and then from the bottoms up, you have incrementality studies. And MMMs do a really good job of telling you what's incremental or not. And incrementality studies can help tell you how can you make a channel more incremental. And in between the studies, we have, in the upper funnel, it's, reach and frequency, mid funnel, click-through rates, and for lower funnel, it's, ROAS and revenue. So that's kind of how we're looking at things.
I could sit here and tell you that we do things really sophisticated, and we have an MMM and incrementality, and iROAS is our key, but it's not. It is truly still the golden record is ROAS. We have to sell a lot of watches. We have to do it in a way that is efficient and that we are not wasting our dollars. But that gets really complicated when you're running a full funnel business and everyone's just saying how many dollars out, how many dollars in. And so we have to be really thoughtful and work with our teams and our Within team to set kind of what that measurement goal is for each part of the funnel. Lower, ROAS, it is what it is. But there's also all these other metrics that kind of go into that, right? You're thinking about costs, you're thinking about building your pixel pools and engagement. And as you get up the funnel, are you trying to get reach and frequency? Are you trying to get a really efficient eCPM? And the real idea of it as we continue to go on and we think about kind of what our MMM is it's not just one set one, but it's one that can flex and ebb and flow within seasonality. We have one vertical. and it is really heavily reliant on gifting. So sometimes those metrics might look different throughout each part of the year as well. So I think it goes back to like where we started the day with Joe saying is kind of you have to be really honest about kind of what your goal and your constraint is, and at each time kind of re-level set as well, and don't take it for granted that we're all on the same page, because I can tell you, even though we think we are, we're not. So keep having that conversation and redefining what that measurement looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you're thinking about your business strategy, what are some of the signals in your business that would make you consider investing in upper funnel?
For us, it's really a 365 conversation, but it wasn't that way when I started 5.5 years ago. It was truly, you can run some TV during Q4 and then you can pray the other 3 quarters, and which we seriously prayed every other quarter because the funnels got dry. And so for us, it starts, you could start top down, bottom up, but the funnels, how healthy are they? We're looking at search metrics, search queries, how many people are looking for us, but also you have things like brand lift studies to say, are in the right moments of the year, is there enough people that your creative is resonating with that they even are thinking about you? And they're clicking. Are you getting, we have a brand health tracker. What that brand health tracker says, is our marketing resonating, is going to look a hell of a lot different in Q2 than it is going to look in Q3 when people aren't as distracted. So the signals for us are really around kind of what the goal is for each brand, I would say, within our portfolio, and really starting to kind of go back to that previous question on like, what are you trying to do in measurement? What are you setting your goals? But overall, for us, it's things like brand lift studies, health tracker search quantity, and really other more or less sexy things like pixel pull health, path to purchase, those type of things.
So I agree with everything that Alicia said, and I just want to double click on one because you need a holistic view. But if I were to just pick one, so I'm kind of changing the question a little bit, it would be Google search query reports. Or the actual volume reports, or the ones from Google Search Trends. And to make this really real, I'll give a quick personal story. But a while ago, I went to the doctor, routine checkup, and they found some things on an X-ray that looked a little scary. And it was a moment that kind of put me into a daze. And when I walked out of the doctor's room, I didn't call my girlfriend. I didn't tell my family. I told Google. I pulled my phone out and I searched, what's wrong? What do I need to do to make this better? And it was a really scary moment, and it turned out to be a false alarm, so I'm fine. But the point is that the Google, in a way, is like a mind reader. And I don't know everyone here, but I can hazard a guess that all of you have put something into that Google search bar that's scary or intimate, something you wouldn't want to tell a lot of people. And that's what the Google Search Query reports or the Google Search Trends really tell you. It's like what is on people's minds. If your brand is on their mind, they'll search about you. And it's a very quick and easy way to put your finger on the pulse and understand, are you top of mind or not? And that's, you need a holistic view. But if I had to pick one, that would be the one that I would focus on the most. And that's kind of what really puts a sense of urgency to everyone and to invest more in the upper funnel.
Yeah, and I think even deeper than that, when you're looking at your brand, understanding what your consumers are saying about your marketing from a non-brand perspective too, right? So I know Bare Minerals, a lot of search queries around, foundation for rosacea or foundation for eczema and things like that. So incorporating that into the marketing as well.
Yeah, I mean, people will literally tell you what they want, right? Like makeup for acne, makeup for rosacea, makeup for dry skin or oily skin or whatever it is. And whatever concern or whatever thing they're looking for, it's like the Google search reports will literally just tell you what it is. You just have to look at the keyword reports.
Absolutely. So you both run multi-brand businesses and the marketing programs that follow. How do you avoid cannibalization when you're spending in these reach and frequency buys and upper funnel?
For me, it always starts with the consumer. Right? We sell 11 different watch brands in our portfolio, and That's a lot of different audiences that we have to go after, and we can't cannibalize one's audience for the next. So for us is defining who's the customer, and things like household income is not it, right? It has to be about motivators, things that, Josh just told us Google knows everything about us, and definitely does, and all the Google properties do, right? And beyond that. So starts with a consumer for us. Who's that consumer? It's not about household income. Are you in a moment to buy a gift? Watches are highly gifted, and we only have one vertical, right? Watch, jewelry, same thing. I don't have like lipstick and multi-category over here that I can kind of spread the love, and we all have two wrists. So really at this point, it's kind of like, are you buying for yourself? Are you buying for someone else? What's your price point? Is there a style that you want? And then you got to go into like emotional things, right? You got to start defining like, is a Movado customer one that dines out frequently? Yes, that's like one of our highest in-market attributes because it shows disposable income. Does Olivia Burton's fans love Home and Garden and Flower? Yes, because they also are rooted in things that the earth and bees and growing plants and things. And even though they're a London British brand, like the Americans don't think like, I need to be British today. But then on the other side of it, it's kind of like, what are you, like, I love this one that we were building personas out for Movado. And it was kind of like the guy that just graduated college and he wants to fit in his office, but he really is on like a limited budget. And we're like, what signals are that? And like, then you start tying your product to them. But you really have to do this upfront work because you can't just magically expect a platform to do it for you. Now AI is making it better and you can match the right content to the right people in the right moment in the right time. But when you think about all the data that Google has about all of us, and I think I literally learned how to do like pivot tables on YouTube because I definitely did not study any of this in college. I have a degree in opera. So like that really is super useful right now. But I will tell you, I learned it. I bookmark it. I go back to it all the time because I have like apparently like low retention on things that include spreadsheets. But I will tell you now, Google knows so much about me, and it's my search, it's my YouTube history, it's my TV viewing history, and then you kind of start to build that onto kind of bringing beyond the Googleverse, which is super big, but then you're thinking about what's that journey when they come to my site, into my email, and that's how you'll really be able to keep it quite healthy is, to me, you guys start with that consumer because there's so much data out there that they're telling you that you can really layer on and make personas that are pretty spot on.
So there's a saying that I've heard a lot in working in beauty is that beauty is a very promiscuous category. And if you open up any handbag, you won't find a bag full of Chanel or a bag full of Laura Mercier. You'll find 12 different products from 12 different brands. And so this goes back to what Alicia was saying, which is understanding your consumer and understanding how they play in that category. And trying to work across a multi-brand business or portfolio is a little bit tricky. I've worked at two, and the rules of the road kind of define what you can and can't do. When I was at Estée, the brands were very independent, very precious about their audiences, and it was like herding cats, so to speak. And at Orveon, we are thinking much more as a collective. So we have brand-specific pixels, and we also have portfolio-wide pixels that live on all the brands. And we've been doing a lot of experimentation about going to market not just as a brand with one product, but rather as a collective with all the products, right? Instead of just marketing one foundation, we're doing all of the foundations. And from a consumer perspective, they can't tell that it's a collective-wide campaign. It is the algorithms deciding which creative or product is the right one to show to the right consumer at the right time.
But who pays for that? What brand? Or you have an Orveon budget?
We have an Orveon budget.
More money to have. I'm stealing that.
I've also decided Alicia is performing at the reception, so if you want to see her flex those skills, she will be there.
Only if I can rap. That's like where it's at these days.
Yes, totally fine. Well, we are at Google, if you didn't know. So which property are you most excited about to bring performance branding forward?
So the one that I'm most excited about is a search platform that has 1 billion plus users, is also a video platform. and that is YouTube. And I have described YouTube in this way, and a lot of people in conversation may have, might have guessed that I was going to say TikTok. And I think what's really interesting, and also it's actually been a little bit annoying to me lately because I've been thinking about this, is that there's so much attention on TikTok, but if you look at the numbers, like TikTok has around about, in the US, 140 million users or 150 million users, and YouTube has about 250 million users. And then you can also think about things like brand safety, which is not always a popular topic, but it's an important one. And go ask a parent and ask them if they're terrified of when their kids are going to get on TikTok. And it's a constant concern in their mind. And then you look at YouTube, and 2 of the top 5 channels on YouTube in terms of subscribers are kids' channels. It's very brand safe, and the controls that you have in terms of where you can advertise to people in terms of context is very important. And I actually really liked Amir's presentation, the one about YouTube, because I was thinking about this also, which is we really live in a long-form renaissance right now. And if you think about which 6-second dance video last year or 2 years ago that you can still remember, like those moments are fleeting. But if you think back to like Game of Thrones or House of Cards or all these different things which are long, not even long form, they're ultra long form. And these are the things that people talk about at the water cooler. These are the things that people want to talk about over dinner. And it's just so interesting because when we buy ads at a $5 CPM, and then you have that one fleeting moment while you can compare it to long-form branded content, and that is not like a 6-second ad that someone's looking at. It could be a 15-minute long ad or a 1-minute long ad. And if you were to think about how many 6 seconds ads would you need to buy at a $5 CPM to equal that much time, branded time, the media value, it's not even comparable. So YouTube has been really on my mind lately.
I'm 100% going to nerd out on YouTube right now. So YouTube is, to me, the most exciting platform that we run on, period. And that's because there is not one format that you can't do there. And come on a journey when I was wrong. And we did YouTube TV in Q4. We have a VIP contract. It took me a year to realize how great the YouTube VIP contract was. I said no, and then a year later I was like, wait a minute, why did I say no to that? It's literally just guaranteeing the spend I'm going to spend up front so I can get discounted rates. Please and thank you. Yes, we would like to do this. And then we were really excited about the NFL Sunday Ticket launch. And I worked at DirecTV on NFL Sunday Ticket. I'm like, I got this. I'm so excited. We have to be in game. That is where it's at. We have to be in game. And the entire YouTube team was like, Alicia, you do not need to be in game that much. You need to be on Select, on ESPN, on all the ancillary content, on people looking at replays, on this is where the eyeballs are at. And I'm like, absolutely not. You are wrong. Who was wrong? This girl. Absolutely wrong. The best engagement, recall, attributed sales was this Select content. It was the short form recaps, the replays, where people were referencing them on all of their like different channels around their fantasy leagues and who are you going to trade and are you injured and who's the top running and who's going to the playoffs. And that's where it was. And so if you think about it in that way, people are consuming long form content on their TV. They're consuming, I'll call it medium form. What do we call this, Amir? Like now this like 15-minuters. I don't know if you're still here, but there's medium form content. And now we have shorts, which are literally like bite-sized 2-minuters, 3-minuters that people are watching on their TVs and they're just sucked in and they're ready to go. And then layer on top of all of that, all of your search data and all of your affinities. I mean, truly everywhere you go on maps, I mean, everything. I'm like, yes, track my data. We know everything about them. We know what stores they're going in. We can drive qualified traffic in store. I mean, more YouTube, please. And definitely, if you're not doing it, talk to me. I will tell you why I love it even more than I just did.
I think also what's really interesting is that when you look at other platforms, sometimes people's feeds can be a little bit embarrassing or they don't want to share it or be quick to share. But then if you look at someone's YouTube feed, you see an aspiring chef who's learning how to cook something, someone who's learning how to build something. You can think back to COVID where we all had to learn how to cut our own hair, right? Like YouTube has been around for so long that sometimes, I don't want to say we forget about it, but it's been there for so long and it's so established that it's ingrained, it's part of our lives that we don't have to think about it anymore. But as marketers, I just want to, I just give a shout out to the platform because I actually do genuinely like it, and I do spend a lot of time on there as a user myself just to learn.
Now I'm going to volunteer Josh to go through his feed at the reception as well, so they each have their own takeaways for you. But let's assume that everyone here is bought in on upper funnel. We know that it's good. We know that it works. How do you manage those conversations with leadership and getting their buy-in, specifically around setting expectations on when they'll see the returns?
This is my daily life right now. I would like to spend all the money, but I also want the sales in parallel right now. And that does not happen, especially if your product is heavily gifted. You need to really educate your team and bring them on the journey and make them invested. And one of the things that we have found most successful, and I'm not going to say that it's like a rock star, but it's really educating everybody on what you're expecting and when. And one of the most interesting things was kind of teaching the team on what an engagement metric is and a view through metric, and like your content is really valuable if people are watching your ad that they can skip for at least 90 seconds of it. It means that there's something resonated. They weren't like, oh man, got to skip now to the next thing. And I was just talking about all the different things you can do on YouTube. You also have this full funnel attribution. So you're able to see as people are engaging in upper funnel, it might be 90, 60 days. I mean, it's taking consumers longer than ever. I mean, the journey for a watch buying could be 6 months. But if I'm within this platform, I'm working them down through the funnel, I can share step by step with the creative team, with the brand teams, that this is valuable dollars spent and it will pay off as we get into a kind of like Super Bowl of Q4, and then I call it the dress rehearsal of Q2. But it's really educating them and having them be involved, because if you don't, then they're just going to keep coming at you like, where are your dollars? What's your return? That's all they care about. So educate them, bring them part of it. It's scary, but bring them in. It's okay.
When I started my career, I used to spend all my time marketing to consumers. As I've matured in my career, I spend a lot of my time marketing to executives. And this really comes down to education. And everyone's quick to open up a media report, and the first thing they look at is revenue, but no one asks how was revenue calculated. There's a lot of people have, all the different apps on their phone, but very few people actually have ever ran a campaign hands on keyboard. So there's a familiarity and also a gross misunderstanding of paid media. And what I've really spent most of my time on, and my general recommendation for this, is really just alignment, education of executives managing up, but also getting very close to finance and making sure that they understand. Because ultimately, or in most organizations, they control the purse strings, and making sure that they understand and trust that the return is there builds a lot of goodwill and can help remove any roadblocks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for answering my questions. Now going to open it up to you all for one question. A lot has informed me, so make it a great one. No pressure. Yes. Absolutely.
Thank you, Alicia and Josh. It was very interesting, actually. My question is maybe going to both of you, because you talk about MMM, right? The marketing model mix and return investment. Well, if you have a direct-to-consumer model, like you have, for instance, in the watches you can immediately see, but I know, for instance, Oreo being called in B2C, but also in the Sephora all the world. How quickly you can respond, because you don't get MMM very quickly.
Yeah, so MMMs take a long time. I think usually, it's a year look back, if you will. So that's why combining it with incrementality studies on just an individual channel or a tactic level kind of gives you a quicker feedback loop. So like I said when I was talking earlier, MMMs will help validate across the board what's incremental, what's not. And then the lift studies will help you calibrate to understand how much more incremental it can be. We do a lot of interesting tests where we will run the same ad type in a lift study, but one cell will have an optimization toward click and another one toward conversion. And the results can be quite surprising. Or we will test 2 different channels completely heads up against each other to see what happens. And that's typically how we do it.
I can share quickly, just building on what Josh said, is we, prior to even working with Within, we kind of hacked a model internally. And where we started was we took all of our spend for the past 5 years previously across every channel, the return, and we also layered in our wholesale and Amazon because we started as a wholesale business. DTC was really years later. I mean, we've only been working on DTC as long as I've been at the company. So if you really start to look at where you were spending and the shifts, and I know the industry is really different now and there's new channels and platforms and goals, but it's a good place to kind of start and see where you were having really, for me, the hardest part to measure on MMM is really the upper funnel brand lift, right? It's really how are you building that equity, changing consumers' behavior. It takes a really long time. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes years. So you can start to see where you were having positive brand perception, maybe different brand perception as you look at your shifting in spend and product launches and how you approach that creative as well. You probably have a lot to work with before you even get into like what's the future state look like.
If we have any more questions, we will be at the reception if I've mentioned it now 5 times. But that concludes this session. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Blake and Tiffany to close us out.
Hi, everybody. You're still with us. So audience participation. Who's learned something here today? Raise your hand. Okay, put your hands down. Who has a lot more questions for Google, for Within, for breakfast? Just one guy? 2. Okay, fantastic. Raise your hand if you're tasked with making more money for your company. Oh, good. Great. Me too. Raise your hand if you're tasked with saving money for your company. Okay. So my name is Tiffany Miller, and I'm a Googler, and I head up the U.S. agency business based out of New York. Thank you for coming. This is a manifestation of a 3-way partnership between Google, Within, breakfast, I guess 4-way, I'll count them as 1, and all of you marketers. Making money for your company, saving money for your company is something that is important to all of us, whether you're Google, Within, breakfast, or any of the brands that represented here. It's not easy given where we are. We've looked at transformation in the industry from AI, innovation, the speed of which things are changing. And it's not easy because we're looking at consumer behavior shifts, right? So we cover a lot of ground. Between here and there, this is where partnership comes in. This is where Google comes in with breakfast and Within to bring the best of technology and consumer targeting, measurement, et cetera, to help you make more money and save more money for your company. So one thing, being a Tiger mom, I like to give homework, so you're welcome. And there's a great spread out there, and I saw some alcohol, so I guess Bloody Marys for everyone. But the homework will be, have a conversation with your Google teams, with your Within teams. If you don't have a joint business plan today that touches upon branding and performance in a way that drives revenue and saves revenue, please have one. Fair enough? Yes? Raise your hand if you're going to do that. Oh, there's a few. Okay, good. Thank you. Blake.
I'm Blake. I'm Director of Partnerships at Within, and just wanted to thank you all so much for coming. I've been at Within for 6 years, and we've grown our partnership so much with Google and YouTube over the years, and we're going to grow it even more. We're going to do a ton more of these events. So when that email survey hits your inbox, fill it out. We truly do value your feedback and want to make sure these are better in the future. You can be mean. I can handle it. And then right after this, we're going to do the reception. There's food. There's drinks if you want to get a little crazy at noon on a Thursday. Tony is going to be pulling the raffle winners, so stick around for that. And please take home a breakfast hoodie because I don't want to haul them back to the office. You'd be helping me out. All right. Thank you, guys.